Hello and welcome. This is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. This channel evaluates all aspects of true crime. As you are aware, videos and live streams in this genre often discuss elements of crime that may be disturbing to some viewers. If necessary, take the precautions needed to avoid these feelings. Factual information related to cases is the key to fostering rational true crime discussions. Fortunately, you will find that here. Please hit the like button only once, share the video, and subscribe if you like my content. Thank you very much for watching. What's going on, freakazoids? Hey, they made arrest in the January 6th pipe bomb case. You know, we just covered that, I don't know, it seems like less than a month ago, where we were going over all of, let me see, when was that? I can tell you. View details. Yeah, it was on November 10th, I think. Or maybe November 5th, and then through the 10th. We covered it a couple times. So there you go. So they made an arrest, somebody named Brian Cole, and I've looked him up. Plus, I got the charging document, or the criminal complaint. So that's what we're going to go look at. Hey, thanks so much, Susie Clue. Really appreciate it. Let's see. So we'll just read some of these articles first. FBI arrests a man. And by the way, does anybody have this press conference? If you do, send me an email and then let me know if you have it, if you've sent it to me. So my email is right there. Washington, let's see, the FBI arrested a man suspected of planning pipe bombs in Washington the night before the January 6, 2021 assault on the Capitol, by supporters of President Donald Trump. See how they always have to get that in there, you know. The authorities released surveillance video, offered a $500,000 reward, and received hundreds of tips in a year-long search for the suspect they believe was involved. Like nearly 5 years, they said. The footage from January 5th showed a person putting bombs near a bench. Yeah, we showed that. Then it says the suspect is Brian Cole Jr. Cole, 30, of Woodbridge, Virginia, lives with his parents. That's exactly what I thought. See, I already looked up Brian Cole, Woodbridge, Virginia, and his address was, well, in Ben Verified, he does not have, any of his addresses are all blank, if you can believe that. Any of his previous addresses. However, I looked up his parents, and they live in Woodbridge, and they lived right on this, in this cul-de-sac right here. And then his sister, somebody that's 34 years old, I think his sister, still lives there too. So then I was thinking, oh, he probably just lived with his parents, right in this house. So if you go down to Street View, there it is. This house right there. And that is the right house. I've seen video, or let's see if we go to Daily Mail here. Let's see right there. See, there's all the FBI agents in the cul-de-sac, and there's that house. I just saw this after I'd already put a pin on the house there. Let's see. go back to that. Yeah, Cole 30 of Woodbridge, Virginia, lives with his parents. Probably lives in the basement. Works for a bail bond company, one of them said, according to a source briefed on the matter. The bombs were discovered on the same day supporters of Trump stormed Congress in an attempt to stop lawmakers from certifying Democrat Joe Biden. Look how they have to put this whole thing in again. Jesus, who cares about that? Police deactivated the bomb. He's president now, all right? In the January 6, 2021 melee, the Capitol rioters surged. Okay. They just wanted to have another chance to bring that whole story up again. Forget the bombing part, you know. So classic. And here was another photo of I could tell it looked similar with the grass and then the trees behind there. And so this is a bunch of FBI officers right in the neighborhood. I think that photograph was taken, like they're standing in the cul-de-sac over there. The arrest marks the first time investigators have identified a suspect in an act that long vexed law enforcement, spawned a multitude of conspiracy theories, and remained an enduring mystery in the shadow of the dark chapter of American history. God, they keep OPB, of course, Oregon Public Broadcasting. Of course, they're going to say the same thing. I thought the darkest part of the day was when the person inside there shot one of the protesters, the female, in the neck and killed her. Yeah, I thought that was almost the darkest part of the whole day. Yeah, when you go back and watch it. The pipe bombs were placed on the evening of January 5th, 2021, near the offices of the Democratic and Republican National Committees. Nobody was hurt before the bombs were rendered safe, but the FBI has said both devices could have been lethal. All right, anyways, I'm going to go just read through the this criminal complaint. All right. This is where you get the real information. I am a special agent with the FBI, that's the affiant, and have been so employed since 2009. I am an investigative law enforcement officer of the United States with the meaning of Title 18 United States Code Section 25107. That is, an officer of the United States who is empowered by law to conduct investigations of and to make arrests for offenses enumerated in Section 2516 of Title 18 United States Code. As an FBI special agent, I have received extensive training in a variety... Okay, forget it. I'm going to go down to the factual part. All right, right down here. Yeah, I'm sure you're qualified. All right. Probably lives in his mother's basement. Just like Zozo always says, right? At approximately 1 p.m. on January 6, 2021, multiple law enforcement agencies received reports of a suspected improvised explosive device in the vicinity of the headquarters of the Republican National RNC in Washington, D.C. At approximately 1:15 p.m. on the same day, a second suspected IED was reported just a few blocks away in the vicinity of the headquarters of the Democratic National Committee in Washington, D.C. So the same place, but you know, we've already known that. Both the RNC and the DNC. And DNC national organizations that engage in activities on a national level on behalf of their respective political parties, including the solicitation of donations from individuals outside of Washington, D.C., the headquarters of each organization is used in interstate commerce and in activity affecting interstate commerce. The hazardous devices section of the United States Capitol police responded and performed a render-safe procedure on both devices. Subsequently, the FBI assessed that the two devices were both IEDs, which contained a main explosive charge, a fusing system, and a container. The FBI also assessed that the IEDs used a hard metal container, metal pipe, nipples, and caps, which showed that weapons characteristics were present. The FBI recovered the components of the disrupted devices. These components were processed as evidence and submitted to the FBI laboratory for analysis. The FBI laboratory issued a report regarding the two devices, opining that submitted items consisted of two destructive devices and that the use of hard metal container showed that weapon characteristics were present. The IEDs were both of a kind more commonly known as pipe bombs. Both IEDs were manufactured using a collection of component parts and main explosive charge. The component parts included a 1-inch by 8-inch pipe, end caps affixed to the pipe, 14-gauge electrical wire in red and black alligator clips to connect the wires, a 9-volt battery, a 9-volt battery connector, a white kitchen timer, paper clips, steel wool, and homemade black powder. I think steel wool is sort of like you use it, you can ignite it. It's like highly combustible. So maybe that's it. And, you know, if you guys are watching, you feel like you can support the channel like Susie Clue, that'd be great. But if you can't, then you can't. But hit that like button anyways. Right now, just smash the damn thing. I never get any, you know, the crowds whenever I do a midday show are always tiny. I don't know why. Yeah, it's just strange. I think there's trials going on, etc. All right, so then pipe bomb identified on surveillance footage. Review of video surveillance footage from an evening of January 5th, 2021 shows that the pipe bombs at the RNC and DNC were placed by the same individual. The individual was observed on video surveillance footage at various locations. Yeah, so I mean, we have a ton of just different clips out there. You know, this one, here's one. They're just walking around. It's weird. To me, it looked like it was a female, but it's not. Maybe they had... I mean, look at the way they're walking there. It just seems like that. It's weird. So you got that one. You have this one. Right there. And then walking up above. This one seemed to be the clearest video. Hey, thanks, Jatharp. Yeah, it's been many years, 7. And so this is the place where the bombs, in this video you can see the bomb being placed, I think, when you scoot over. Yeah, I think they, yeah, right near the edge, they put the bomb, then they take off. It's like right in the bushes there. So, there you have it. So it says, review of surveillance footage from the evening of January 5th, 2021 shows that the pipe bombs at the RNC were placed by the same individual. The individual was observed on video surveillance footage at various locations in the surrounding neighborhood. Maybe I should move it over here. between 7:34 and 8:18 p.m. The video surveillance, the individual was wearing pants, a gray hooded sweatshirt, dark gloves, Nike Air Max Speed Turf shoes, and a face mask that obscured the person's face. The video surveillance footage shows the individual adjusting eyeglasses at times. The video surveillance footage shows the individual carrying a backpack. Video footage shows the individual traveling on foot, though the surrounding neighborhood of the RNC and DNC, including portions of the route of travel between the two locations, that says through, not though. Video footage shows the individual well, you want to see this on the screen, but the problem is when I look over here when I'm reading it, so it looks funny, like I'm looking away. Hold on. I didn't have it on live chat. Yeah. All right. So review of the video footage from the evening of January 5th showed the videos between 7:34 and 8:18, the same person. We just discussed what he was wearing. Video footage shows the individual traveling on foot. I think it meant to say through. On foot, though, it says, but I think it's through the surrounding neighborhood of the RNC and DNC, including portions of the route of travel between the two locations. Through video surveillance, the FBI recreated the individual's path of travel, including timestamps associated with the individual location. Along the route, the individual placed the pipe bomb at the DNC at approximately 7:54 and the RNC at approximately 8:16. Yeah, we have the video that has the map on it and everything too. And that was on January 5th in the evening. In January 2021, the FBI conducted a reverse projection photogrammetry examination, i.e. a height analysis of the individual depicted in the video surveillance footage. The height analysis, I wonder if they could have done that in the Delphi case. The height analysis showed that the approximate distance from the ground to the top of the individual's head, including headwear, was 5 feet 7 inches with an error rate of 1.1. So it could be 5.6 to 5.8. Let's see, Brian, and then this is identification of Brian Cole. Brian Cole Jr. is a 30-year-old resident of Woodbridge, Virginia. Cole is 5 feet 6. They nailed it. And Cole wears corrective eyeglasses. Boom. Cole lives in a single-family house. And by the way, people like Candace Owens and all the other, this will not be the person because it wasn't the person they thought it was. So it's a whole cover-up. The FBI can't be trusted. None of this is real. So why bother even reading it, right? That's how stupid these people are. Anyways, Cole lives in a single-family house with his mother and other family members. Cole works in the office of a bail bondsman in North Virginia. The FBI has identified one bank checking account and 6 credit cards, the accounts used by Cole. The FBI obtained records for the checking account and 3 credit cards for the time period of January 2018 to 2021. 3 additional credit cards were obtained for the time period of January 2018 to November 2025. The FBI reviewed the transaction history for all these accounts. During 2019 and 2020, Cole purchased multiple items consistent with the components that were used to manufacture the pipe bombs placed at the RNC and DNC. Cole used the accounts to purchase these items from physical retail locations in Northern Virginia as described in more detail below. So let's see what the nutjob conspiracy other people will come up with. Both pipe bombs were manufactured using 1x8 galvanized pipe and with markings consistent with a particular manufacturer. Product labeling, Cole purchased a total of 6 galvanized pipes. I mean, who doesn't buy pipes? I mean, you can't go out and buy a pipe these days? Everybody, you can't go out and buy a galvanized pipe? Jeez, I mean, who doesn't buy a 1x8 galvanized pipe? Come on, that's really flimsy. The purchases were made at 2 different Home Depot locations in Northern Virginia, according to the pipe manufacturer. Approximately 26,000 of these items from pipe manufacturers were sold in 2020, and over 22,000 of them items were sold at Home Depots. Both pipe bombs were manufactured using end caps, which were used to close the ends of 8-inch pipe. The pipe bombs placed outside the RNC and DNC contained a mix of both black and galvanized end caps. The end caps had markings consistent with pipe manufacturers' product labeling. Cole purchased a total of 12 black end caps. I mean, of course, if you buy a pipe, you're going to buy some end caps. I mean, come on, you guys. The end caps had markings consistent with pipe manufacturer product labeling. Cole purchased a total of 12 black end caps and 2 galvanized end caps from 4 different Home Depots in Northern Virginia, because a lot of times bail bondsmen buy these things. You know, that's normal for them. Hey, thanks, Cinnamon Sin Freak. October 22nd, 2019. So he bought them the following dates: October 22nd, 2019, and March 10th, June 20th, and July 8th. See how he spread it out? Like he wanted to make this seem very, like hard to detect because it was spread out over all this time. And then also November 16th, 2020. According to the pipe manufacturer, approximately 233,000 of the black end caps from pipe manufacturer were distributed in 2020, including to Home Depot. In addition, approximately 179,200 galvanized end caps from pipe manufacturers were distributed in 2020, including to Home Depot. Both pipe bombs were manufactured using a 9-volt battery connector with attached red and black wires. The 9-volt battery connectors used in the pipe bombs, he should have bought all this with cash, not the credit cards. What an idiot. These people are so stupid. I mean, like for people who do true crime, these guys, when you see some of the mistakes they make, you just kind of wonder. It's wild. The 9-volt battery connectors used in the pipe bombs had identifying information on the black and red insulated wires that were consistent with those distributed in North America by a known company and its predecessors. The 9-volt distributor, Cole purchased 5 of the 9-volt distributors, 9-volt battery connectors from Micro Center in Northern Virginia on or about November 12th. Wow. Geez, so come on, this is a setup, you guys. There's no way a guy that's 5'7", named Brian Cole, for God's sakes, would go out and buy the pipes, the end caps, the 9-volt connectors. I mean, let's see. I wonder what Candace Owens is going to put in her next video about this guy. Well, come on. It's ridiculous. I know, but they're all 6 credit cards that they could tie to him. So it doesn't help to have 6 of your own credit cards, and then you go out and buy things. It's insane. You'd have to have a fake ID on each of them. Let's see, that said 9-volt battery connect. He bought 9-volt battery connectors from Micro Center in Northern Virginia on or about November 12th and December 28th, 2019. So he was building this for a long period of time to throw people off and purchasing little bits. Fewer than 8,000 of 9-volt distributors, 9-volt battery connectors were distributed in the United States between December 2017 and 2021. Both pipe bombs were manufactured using a white kitchen-style timer. Oh boy. Cole purchased 2 white. I mean, how do we know his mother didn't ask him to buy a white timer for cooking or baking chocolate chip cookies, for God's sakes? Who are we to judge, huh? I gotta turn into one of the conspiracy people. Let's do it. See, when you put this all together circumstantially, just now, he is the bomber, right? Like, just that alone, the stuff right here. Okay, but the conspiracy nutters, they don't ever put them all together. They try to explain each one away as some sort of, well, I mean, come on. I mean, who doesn't buy pipes? I don't know. It's just 8-inch pipes with end caps, for God's sakes. Oh, and the 9-volt battery connectors and the... Yeah, okay. Cole purchased 2 of those kitchen timers, because everybody needs 2. You know, when you're cooking, baking cookies, put a 1 in the chat if you've been baking cookies and the timer broke. So then you go, oh, thank God I had a second one, and then you go get the other one. You know what I mean? Because that one, you're so into that baking the chocolate chip cookie, and you sit there and you're looking at the timer, and oh, thank God, I'm always so redundant. I bought another one. Okay, right. So there you go. He bought 2. Guess what? There was 2 pipe bombs. Both pipe bombs used a mix of 14-gauge red and black electrical wire. Cole purchased 14-gauge electrical wire in red and black on or about May 23rd and October 22nd, 2019, on or about September 27th, October 7th, and November 4th, 2020. Cole purchases of 14-gauge red and black electrical wire made from one Home Depot and one Lowe's location in Northern Virginia. But see how he bought it all again over time? 2019, October, and then September, October, November in 2020. Both pipe bombs were packed with steel wool. Cole purchased steel wool from a Home Depot in Northern Virginia on or about December 4th, 2020. Wow, there you go. That's crazy. He even bought this, every single thing that the bomb was made up of, they have tracked to him. I wonder how long they've they've had this information. In addition to purchasing each type of component used to make the pipe bomb, Cole purchased equipment that would facilitate manufacturing of a pipe bomb. Such items included safety glasses on or about July 8, 2020, a wire stripping tool on or about November 14th, 2020, wire nuts, which are used to join wires together, on or about November 14th, 2020, sandpaper on or about November 21st, 2020, a machinist file, a tool for shaping and smoothing metal parts, on or about November 21st, 2020, protective gloves, and disinfecting wipes on or about November 24th, 2020. Yeah, I mean, these are all items that bail bondsmen use all the time. They often will catch somebody and say, hey, let me see your phone, and then they start stripping wire out of it. It's amazing. Following the placement of the pipe bombs on January 5th, 2021, Cole continued to make purchases of components used in bomb making. For example, on January 21st, 2021, Cole purchased one white kitchen timer, and 2 9-volt batteries from Walmart. On January 22nd, 2021, Cole purchased 2 galvanized pipes. Wow. Measuring 1 by 8. And what was he going to do with these? Steel wool from Home Depot. On January 22nd, 2021, Cole purchased 2 of a different kind of 9-volt distributor 9-volt battery clips from Micro Center. On January 23rd, 2021, Cole purchased various alligator clips. Let's see. And then from Home Depot. And then it says Cole's location on January 5th. Since at least as early as January 5th, 2021, Cole has been the user of a specific telephone number associated with a cellular phone called, he called it Cole's cell phone. The FBI obtained historical cell site records associated with the cell towers located in the immediate vicinity of the RNC and DNC for the relevant time period on January 5th, 2021. Historical cell site records associated with the cell towers provide location data for cellular telephones. This is like the CAST system in the Koberger case. Such transactions can include voice calls, text messages. Let me see. Historical cell site records associated with the cell tower provide location data for cellular telephones at specific points in time when the cell phone engages in a transaction with the cell phone tower. Such transactions can include voice calls, text messages, or other data usage. Transactions involving data usage can include a user's active use of a phone, example, navigating to a web page, and during a user's passive use of a phone, such as when an application on the phone refreshes data in the background. Now, records obtained from the cell phone provider that provides service to Cole's cell phone include historical cell site records associated, because remember, I think at one point he was on his cell phone. Cell site records associated with the location of devices on the provider's network on January 5th, 2021. Provider records include location data for devices on its network that engage in transactions, including voice calls, text messages, and other data usage. Each of provider's cell phone, each of, I think it's the providers, doesn't have that, cell phone towers in the vicinity of the RNC and DNC have sectors, and I think that means sectors meaning each tower, imagine like a pie that you cut into 3 pieces only, right? So cell towers are, a lot of times they're 2, 3, and 4 sectors, I believe is what they're referring to. And so you can tell which sector the phone pings in, and that'll give you a general direction of where the phone is at that time. Okay, so it says each of the providers' cell phone towers in the vicinity of the RNC and DNC have sectors that provide coverage for the particular tower. So that might be something else, but just keep that in. Oh, it does say right here. Each sector of a cell phone tower provides approximately 120 degrees of coverage. So that would be the ones with 3. There you go. See that? Due to real-world conditions and various forms of interference, the actual cover of any particular day for a particular sector can extend beyond 120 degrees of coverage to be limited to less than 120 degrees of coverage. For each cell phone tower provider's historical cell site records show the particular sector that engaged in each transaction for each individual cell phone. The FBI Cellular Analysis, or CAST, there we go, has analyzed the location of the Cole cell phone on January 5th, 2021. Providers' records show that Cole's cell phone connected with provider cell phone towers consistent with the cell phone being in the area of the RNC and DNC on January 5th, 2021. Didn't they already have this guy's name just from doing the data dump from anything that connected and at a particular time, for example? The cell phone engaged in a proximity 7 data session transaction. Hold on. So what page are we on? 5? Let's go back up here. Look at, so the bombs were placed between 7:34 and 8:18. So just keep that in mind. 7:34, 8:18. And then here it says, provider records show that the Cole's cell phone connected with provider's cell phone towers consistent with Cole's cell phone being in the area of the RNC and DNC on January 5th, 2021. The Cole cell phone engaged at approximately 7 data session transactions with provider towers between 7:39 and 8:24. Right then. Provider's historical cell site data shows that specific tower for each of the transactions along with the sector of the tower that engaged in the transaction with the Cole cell phone. The 7 transactions between Cole's cell phone and provider towers occurred at approximately 7:39, 7:44. Okay, where's that one? Let me look at this. Is it this one? I think when he was right. Didn't he come back or like right around in this area? Right there, see? He's doing, oh, that's glasses. Okay. That would have been a good place to figure out his height. Just right there. I mean, I don't know. So he didn't have a cell phone on that one. Although I thought maybe it was earlier on. Let's see. Isn't that, what's that light right there? Maybe just something white. Okay, that doesn't have it. Alright, so anyways, the cell phone towers hit at 7:39, 7:44, 7:59, 8:14, 8:23, 8:24 p.m. 2 transactions took place at 7:39 p.m. During this time period, the Cole cell phone had transactions with 5 different sectors on providers' cell towers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Oh, and that says 2 transactions took place at 7:39 p.m. During this time period, the Cole cell phone had transactions with 5 different sectors. All right, so even though it pinged 7 times, it looks like it only, during that time frame, it pinged off of 5 different cell tower sectors. So that shows the movement of the phone, and if you have multiple cell towers, you can triangulate. At approximately 7:39 p.m., the Cole cell phone interacted with a particular sector of provider tower 59323, which faces southeast, approximately 120 degrees from its location. Yeah, let's see if we can see this. All right. 103 G Street. Let's see. All right, right there. Is that the... Okay. And so this is, remember we marked all these locations, so this could be where the tower is. Is it on top of, yeah, it could just be on top of this building. Okay, let's put one here. We'll put letter C for that, cell tower. And that's a sector A. Also at 7:39:27, the Cole cell phone interacted with a particular sector provider tower 126187, which faces east from its location at 200 Independence Avenue. All right, let's see. So that's just right over here. Awesome. So there you go. Faces east. So there's another cell tower. And what we could do to make it more, sort of easier to understand is we can go, something like that. That's what this would do. 120 degrees. It faces east. And as you can see, absolutely, covers the area that he was walking around in. And then what was the first one? Faces southeast. So this one here is southeast. So on this one, we would go to southeast. So I would say that one probably went more like, we'll just say like that. Is this helpful at all, or? It's probably more like that. That's probably more like 120 degrees. So southeast. Okay. There we go. And so that was video surveillance footage shows that at approximately 7:39, the individual who placed the pipe bomb walked westbound on D Street, southeast, and then turned southbound on South Capitol Street. These locations are consistent with the coverage areas of Sector A and B. Yeah, wasn't there a point when he was walking like right through here, underneath the bridge there, something like that? All right, and then at approximately 7:44 p.m., Cole's cell phone interacted with Sector B of provider tower 126187. Video surveillance footage shows that at approximately 7:44, the individual who placed the pipe bomb walked east on Ivy Street and southeast. This location is consistent with the coverage of Sector B. At approximately 7:59:36, the Cole cell phone interacted with a particular sector provider tower at 147990, which faces south from the location of 200 Independence Avenue. So that means the other one is like, something like that. Obviously, these are, I need to make these bigger. They'd probably be something like that. And then this one. Maybe like that. And then there'd be another one that, it has to be, you have to make it 120 degrees. But it's out from that. So I mean, putting this other line, you probably don't need this line because it doesn't have it has like a 5 mile, 3 mile difference. So probably more like that. I don't know. People said that that was the person. I never pretended that they were the one. Anytime you see something on social media like that, you know, it's interesting. Maybe it is that person. I mean, they talked about. We kind of looked at it because it was in the news. You know, they actually put it in articles. So it was like, yeah, I mean, they were sort of interesting, but remember the whole gait analysis, you know, the AI gait analysis? Oh, they nailed it. At approximately 7:59, the Cole cell phone interacted with a particular sector provider, and that was at 200 Independence. Surveillance footage shows that at approximately 7:59 p.m., the individual who placed the pipe bomb walked southbound on New Jersey Avenue, southeast, then turned eastbound on East Street, southeast. Those locations are consistent with the coverage of Sector C. Hey, thanks, Shelly Boo Boo, for gifting a membership. Very kind, very kind. Really appreciate it. At approximately 8:23:59 and 8:24:06, the Cole cell phone interacted with provider tower 144340, which faces west. And that one's at 600 Pennsylvania Avenue. So this is a new area, and it faces west. (600 Pennsylvania Avenue). Huh. Let's see. Is there a southeast? Okay, over here. There you go. There you go. That wasn't making sense, so that does. So there's a tower on this building. And that one, oh yeah, so they had them triangulated in here. That's crazy. Yeah, so it's kind of like in that direction, that way, filling in this whole area over here. See that? And look where he was this whole time. I mean, just right in there. It's wild. And so at approximately 8:23:59 and 8:24:06, the Cole cell phone interacted with provider tower. I mean, didn't they have this information from the get-go? I mean, this is like... It seems like they would have been able to say, oh, look, this one cell phone is doing exactly what was done on the surveillance footage. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know if it's hard to notice stuff like... I don't know. It seems strange. It seems like what you should be able to do is plot out the... This is what I think. You know, you take the cast data, right? And you put it into a database. And it should automatically be able to plot the general movements of each cell phone. And then overlay the movements of the suspect that you have on camera. And then have a software system tell you, wow, this cell phone overlays the movements of the suspect to a 98%, you know, something like that, where you go, holy shit, and you can go through it and, you know, just have it automatically do it with every cell phone that pinged in the area that was moving. You would first have the system take out ones where, you know, it's not moving, it's just sort of stagnant. Maybe they're at home sleeping or whatever, they're not moving. And then the ones that are moving make a shape of their movements, the time and the ping, and then see how closely it is associated with the actual surveillance footage and movements of a suspect. Wouldn't that be a easy... It seems like that'd be a really simple thing for somebody to program. Now, I don't know if it's like that where the cast data shows that level of... I mean, without like a warrant or something. I don't know how that works. But I think the CAS data is sort of a data dump and just sort of shows different phones in an area. I mean, yeah, it took a long time to have this kind of information pointing. I guess we'll figure out what's going on here in a second. All right. So at approximately 8:23, we just did that part, pinged west of 600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Video surveillance footage last captures the individual who placed the pipe bombs at 8:18 p.m. walking eastbound on Rumsey Court in the direction of Tower 144340, which is approximately 1.5 miles east of the individual's last recorded location. The last recorded location is consistent with the coverage area of Sector E. In April of 2021, the provider updated the direction of the particular sector of provider tower 126187 as facing east, approximately 90 degrees. The FBI, hold on. All right, well, which one was that? 126187. Right here. At approximately interacted with Sector B of Provider Tower, which surveillance footage shows approximately 7:44. The individual who placed the pipe bomb walked east on Ivy Street. That doesn't have an address on it, so it must be a duplicate of some sort. '59 there, and then we have 126187. So down here, does it tell the address of that? The FBI drive tests conducted in January and February of 2021 showed results from this particular sector that were consistent with this particular sector facing east. The drive test results were inconsistent with the sector facing north based on the totality of information available, including the data session transaction with Sector A. At 7:39:27 p.m., CAS assesses that the provider's listed information about the sector in February 2021 was an error that was corrected in April of 2021. Cole is the registered owner of a 2017 Nissan Sentra with a Virginia license plate. On January 5th, 2021, at approximately 7:10 p.m., Cole's Nissan Sentra was observed driving past a license plate reader at the South Capitol Street exit. This guy's an idiot. From Interstate 395 South, which is less than 1/2 mile from the location where the individual who placed the devices was first observed on foot. But let me ask you guys, didn't you guys see that your CAS data showed a cell phone moving around, and then you can look at the cell phone and go, okay, what kind of car does he drive? Oh, look at that. The data reader also has his car coming in. It just feels like that's information that should have been easily figured out a long time ago. Right? I mean, it's just pretty weird. It was observed on, and then it said, which is less than 1/2 mile from the location where the individual who placed the devices was first observed on foot near, so it was at 7:10, and then 24 minutes later, he's observed on foot near North Carolina and New Jersey Avenue, southeast at 7:34 p.m. Approximately 5 minutes later at 7:39, the Cole cell phone began to interact with provider tower in the area. The FBI has analyzed Cole's purchase history associated with the accounts. Between January 2018 And January 2021, Cole made a total of 5 purchases with the within Washington, D.C. on or about the following dates: January 13th, January 16th, so he came back there. Or these are, maybe he was scouting. These are before. But he might have been scouting the areas out. October 31st. Okay, so it was January 13th, 2018. January 16th, 2018. October 31st, 2019. December 5th, 2020. And December 14th, 2020. And that was just 3 weeks before. Approximately 3 weeks before the pipe bombs were placed on or about December 14th, 2020, Cole made a purchase at a restaurant located near 1st and D. Yeah, so that would have been on December 14th. The restaurant is located across the street from the entrance to Rumsey Court on D Street. For all of these reasons stated above, there is probable cause that on January 5th, 2021, Cole placed pipe bombs outside the RNC and DNC. I declare under penalty of perjury that the information provided above in this affidavit. See, that's what they have to do, everybody. So it's not a lie. It's real. I don't know, man. I don't know, dude. I think it could have been somebody else. It's a setup. It's a setup. Yeah. Okay. So did anybody happen to find the press conference? Hold on. Man, what are these guys talking about? Hey, thanks, Eileen. I don't know. I got these records requests from Washington State University that they're saying are closed, but I don't know what they're talking about. I haven't got anything from them. Hold on. Oh, I do have it. Hold on. I got some Koberger stuff. Awesome. All right. Awesome. Got some Koberger documents. All right. No, I don't have the link. That's what I was saying, to send it to me. Yeah. Okay. Is the same name? Found footage. Well, I got 2 different request fulfillments. I don't know if they're the same. I don't know. I'll have to check it out later. Okay. You don't have to tell us. You have to leave for that. You just go out and do it. Yeah, nobody sent it to me. All right, man, that's just so damning. It's unbelievable. He buys all the parts for the bombs over a period of time. His phone pings in the area. I mean, see, that's the kind of level of stuff. That's the same level of. I mean, that's almost worse than Tyler Robinson. You know, but Tyler Robinson is just as bad. I mean, it's just it's horrendous for him. I did hear from Allie Cake, by the way. I think she's just taking, time off. She'd been, taking too much time away from just a regular home, so she took a break. I wish she'd would have responded earlier, though.
Perfect.
All right, hold on. I'm going to download this thing. I hate when it comes out of one ear. It's the worst. Thanks, Sandy. I'll fix this for everybody quickly. Okay, hold on a minute. Oh, jeez, man, really? Okay. Almost ready. But hey, if you're watching and you think, hey man, this Gray guy, he does good stuff. If you have the ability to and want to help support the channel, that would be awesome. Okay, here it is.
Because the
Okay, see how it's just one wave on one side? That's crazy. Audio channel. There we go. Audio gain 5. All right, ready? Here we go. Now it'll sound normal.
stay here. Yeah.
That's probably too loud.
Perfect. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. As you all know now, early this morning, Brian Cole Jr. was arrested and charged with placing the pipe bombs at the RNC and the DNC on January 5th, 2021. He has been charged with violating 18 U.S.C. 844, which is use of an explosive device. This investigation is ongoing. As we speak, search warrants are being executed, and there could be more charges to come. I'm going to let our U.S. Attorney discuss that shortly. This was the work of multiple agencies working together. This morning's operation was carried out safely and successfully. We know that there are so many issues when you're issuing search warrants. Dangerous things can happen, and this was carried out safely and securely thanks to all of the people standing around me. They have worked tirelessly on this. Today's arrest happened because the Trump administration has made this case a priority.
It's a pretty big...
The total lack of movement...
I have to say that's a pretty big get for Kash Patel, after getting, crushed in the last couple days. That's a pretty big one.
Movement on this case in our nation's capital undermined the public trust of our enforcement agencies. This cold case languished for 4 years until Director Patel and Deputy Director Bongino came to the FBI. The FBI, along with U.S. Attorney Pirro and all of our prosecutors, have worked tirelessly for months, sifting through evidence that had been sitting at the FBI with the Biden administration for 4 long years.
Isn't that just shit right there? That's incredible. It's crazy. Because this, like I said earlier, just looking at it, this should have been solved a long time ago.
Let me be clear. There was no new tip. There was no new witness. Just good, diligent police work and prosecutorial work, working as a team along with ATF, Capitol Police, Metropolitan Police Department, and of course, the FBI. We are working every day to restore the public's trust. We hope that today is a significant step towards that progress. We'll share more information when we can and when it unfolds. I cannot stress enough how hard Director Patel and Deputy Director Bongino have worked for months to make our nation's capital safer and to make our country safer. I'd like to introduce now Director Patel.
Thank you, General. When you attack American citizens, when you attack our institutions of legislation, when you attack our nation's capital, you attack the very being of our way of life. And this FBI and this Department of Justice stand here to tell you that we will always refute it and combat it. We will provide the safest country the nation has ever seen under President Trump's leadership here. And that's what we did here today with great resolve on a case of massive public importance, as it should be. An individual who is now alleged to have placed multiple explosive devices to blow up multiple people and multiple officials, innocent civilians, is now arrested thanks to the brave men and women of the FBI and the interagency. I want to take a moment to thank the Metropolitan Police Department, the United States Capitol Police, our brave prosecutors, the Department of Justice, and our leader, Attorney General Pam Bondi, and U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro, whose relentless work on this case made this possible. As the Attorney General said, we did not discover any new information. What we did, an investigation spearheaded by the Deputy Director and the ADIC of our Washington field office, brought in a new team of investigators and experts, re-examined every piece of evidence, sifted through all the data, something that the prior administration refused and failed to do.
Wow.
As a result of that, we generated numerous investigative leads.
Why did the previous administration, that makes it, that almost has a conspiratorial feel to it, doesn't it? Like, why didn't they do that? Why wouldn't you? Because this is all right there. I told you, the cast data, and it almost feels like they wanted this really chaotic thing right when Trump was, and then you combine that with what happened on January 6th. Apparently there was even agents in the crowd sort of stoking people on, etc. Makes you kind of wonder, like, man, that's pretty weird. You know, that actually is a like more of a conspiratorial angle, because when you see the data that they have, there's no reason this shouldn't have been solved. There's no reason at all.
Executed multiple legal process with their U.S. attorney partners and came to this conclusion today. And that is why we were able to safely secure this individual into custody. Remember, we are dealing with an individual who is alleged to have made bombs. We cannot do this sort of takedown in haste because it endangers the lives of law enforcement. And this FBI will never allow the lives of law enforcement and our prosecutors to be put in jeopardy. This execution was flawless in terms of teamwork, resilience, and just a good old-fashioned way of police getting the job done. When you let good cops be cops, this is what happens. I'm eternally grateful to the team behind me, to the leadership at the FBI who made this possible. But I do want to highlight, when I introduced the deputy, he made this case and so many others, including Summer Heat, his priority to come in here and solve it for the American people. And today, I'm proud to stand here before you and say, we solved it. He will have his day in court. The American public and the world will learn even more information through the legal process, as we have committed under this Attorney General. We are the most transparent law enforcement operation in U.S. history, but we are also going to make sure accountability is delivered to its fullest extent, and that happens in the courts of law with our U.S. attorneys and our prosecutors. So we will divulge information when it is prudent and constitutionally permissible, while upholding the safeguards of this case to make sure that the people that this individual intended to victimize get the accountability they deserve, and most importantly, to deliver on President Trump's promise to secure our nation's capital and the rest of the cities in this country, to make sure that Americans are allowed to go out free and securely in their neighborhoods, and that people around the world are allowed to visit our nation's capital, and they now have that trust thanks to the leadership of the FBI, the Washington Field Office, and I'm honored now to introduce to you Deputy Director Bongino, who spearheaded this investigation.
Thank you all for being here for this critical investigation we've been working on for a very long time. We deeply appreciate it. Thank you for the kind words, Attorney General and Director. I appreciate it. Folks, this is what it's like when you work for a president who tells you to go get the bad guys and stop focusing on other extraneous things not related to law enforcement. This is what happens. We had a great team. I know it's said a lot in this business. It was a team effort. It becomes cliche, but cliches are useful for a reason because they matter. And this was a team effort. The director and the attorney general emphasized that it was not a new public tip this came from. This was our internal work at the FBI. And I want to just really express my sincere gratitude to this attorney general and this president for allowing us the latitude. I spoke with Ms. Bondi very early when we, maybe day 2, and I said, we're going to get this guy. And she said, yes, you are. And we did. I want to also thank, he's not here, but Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who we deal with often as well, who could not have been more supportive. Whatever process we need, Judge Janine, Todd, and Attorney General Bondi, they were there. All you had to do, they were a phone call away. And their team was amazing. We actually never had to make that phone call because they were always responsive. And thank you, Judge, as well. You were amazing. Folks, you're not going to walk into our capital city, put down 2 explosive devices, and walk off in the sunset. Not going to happen. We were going to track this person to the end of the earth. There was no way he was getting away. Well, we didn't have to track him to the end of the earth. It wound up in Woodbridge, Virginia. I want to thank the team. They were amazing. They never let this go. Again, Attorney General Bondi, for your incredible support. Director Patel, Judge, I know they're giving me a lot of unnecessary credit, but make no mistake, they were intimately involved in this and were there for all of those supportive mechanisms, and I deeply appreciate it. The man whose team did the work is the Assistant Director in charge of our Washington Field Office, Darren Cox. Darren's got some comments, and Darren has some more details on the case he can provide. So thank you all for coming. We appreciate it.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Darren Cox. I'm the Assistant Director in charge of the Washington Field Office. Today's arrest of the alleged D.C. pipe bomber is a momentous day for the American public, for the FBI, for our Joint Terrorism Task Force, or the JTTF, and our partners, the U.S. Capitol Police, Metropolitan Police Department, and ATF. We've also had a large number of other federal, state, and local departments that have worked on this investigation. And last but not least, the U.S. Attorney's Office. We all worked hand in hand to solve this investigation. This has been a long week in D.C. After the terrorist attack last week, the grit and determination of the FBI and our law enforcement partners is an example to the American public of what cooperation, partnership, and selfless service can accomplish. The amount of effort the FBI and our partners devoted to identifying the pipe bomber cannot be overstated. It is the resolve and determination of our investigators that ultimately led to the identification and the arrest of this suspect. We all know...
Well, that's interesting. His dad, Brian Cole, is the president of a bail bonds company. And then this guy works as a bail bonds person. Weird, huh? I'm just looking this stuff up. He is a black person.
Pipe bombs are dangerous, not because of the potential loss of life, damage to property, or injury that they can cause, but also because they are tools that terrorize our community. Fortunately, these bombs did not explode, although they certainly could have. But make no mistake, the alleged pipe bomber did terrorize our community. Today's actions underscore the long memory and the long reach of the FBI and our partners. I know some people had given up on finding the perpetrator, but not the FBI and not our partners. We do not forget, we do not give up, and we do not relent. Though it had been nearly 5 years, our team continued to churn through massive amounts of data and tips that we used to identify this suspect. I want to thank Director Patel and Deputy Director Bongino for their leadership and for providing us the resources and the personnel to reevaluate all of the data that we had. We dove into more than 3 million lines of data to come up with this suspect. Director Patel, Deputy Director Bongino, thank you for your support, thank you for your passion, and thank you for your investment in this investigation. From me, on behalf of the investigators, the Washington Field Office, and all of our partners, thank you. I'd also like to thank Judge Pirro. Judge, your team and you are absolutely amazing. You're the type of prosecutors and U.S. attorney, that all of the investigators across the country want to work with. They're hard-nosed and they're aggressive, and thank you for that. I'd also like to thank the American public for providing tips and leads, not just on this case, but every day on cases across the country that are being solved by law enforcement. And finally, I want to commend all of the members of the Washington Field Office, and most specifically, the investigative team. Their diligence and persistence led to this arrest today, and they are absolutely, totally dedicated not only to this case, but every case they work. So thank you, Washington Field Office. Last, I will say our work is not done. The FBI will continue to pursue every lead and use every resource that we have to ensure that the D.C. pipe bomber is brought to justice. Thank you.
You keep hearing the words partnership and team, and that's what we are. And we could not do this without our U.S. Attorney, Jeanine Pirro. Jeanine, from day one, has worked tirelessly for our country and for our nation's capital. It's my honor to introduce my friend, U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro.
Thank you very much, Attorney General. And you have been listening to a lot of thank yous and a lot of gratitude. The reason that we're thanking each other to the extent that we are today is because we have seen in this case an incredible collaboration around the clock, in the middle of the night. It doesn't matter. We call each other, we make contact, they need a warrant, they need something, someone wants legal advice. These are the men and women who never give it up. You hear about government employees, but I don't know if you really realize what it is that they do. They are incredible, and this case is big. 4 years, 10 months, and 28 days ago, an individual placed a bomb in the vicinity of both the RNC and the DNC. And for that amount of time, that individual evaded accountability. Today, as a result of the cumulative efforts of the men and women in the FBI and the police department and the Department of Justice, we are finally able to make an arrest of an individual by the name of Brian Cole. As the Attorney General has indicated, he is arrested for transporting an explosive device in interstate commerce, as well as the attempted malicious destruction by means of explosive materials. You know, folks, this case involved millions of pieces of data. And it is a huge win because it was like finding a needle in a haystack. So much of this evidence was very specific, but a lot of it was also very general. For example, there were 233,000 black end caps of the type that were used in this case. I want you to think about the fact that the FBI had to go through the sale of every one of them to try to find commonality with an individual, along with the purchase of the pipe itself, the cap ends, the wires, the steel, and the 9-volt batteries. Every one of those had to be mined and remined to the point where we were able to then connect. And make no mistake, it was this administration, it was this president who made the decision that we were going to use all of our efforts to get it done, and get it done they did. Finally, let me say this. Today begins the formal process of accountability, where this defendant will begin his journey through the criminal justice system.
Isn't this crazy, you guys? Look at this. See, like normally on Ben Verified, you have all the addresses. But look at how there's none really. Yeah, there's no address. It just says the state and city for just him, you know. All the other relatives have addresses. I'm not sure what's going on there. That's pretty weird. I wonder if they intentionally remove those items. Here, I'll get back to playing this, but let me show you guys something that I thought was pretty interesting. So I looked up other addresses using a different website where his phone was. All right, where his phone pinged at a certain point. All right, and so there was this one in Tennessee, near Nashville. Doesn't really have a date on it. But then there was another one in Arizona. And it was kind of like, it was right over here. Look at this. So the address is associated with this home right there. His phone. And look how close it is to, like, Turning Point USA is in the same, so this is where she'll be able to make a connection, is that there's actually, at some point, I don't know, it's just kind of interesting. Like, here's State Farm Stadium. Isn't that where the memorial service was? And he was right there at some point. And then Turning Point USA is right there. And, sort of interesting. Weren't there some shootings in Tennessee, etc.? So I don't know what he was doing over there, but I thought that was mildly interesting. Okay. That he is associated with homes, not just some random area, but these are houses in those areas. So Tennessee, and then also in that same exact little area. I mean, it's kind of strange to, like all the way across the country, and then you're right in the same area as Turning Point USA, etc. And near the I don't know if it's true or not. Let me see if that one. There was like a post out there that I don't know if this is really him or not. Let me see. Yeah, it's not him, so forget it. That's irrelevant. Somebody sent that. It was on Twitter. That's not an accurate post. Anyways, let me pull this up.
And I pledge to you that the United States Attorney's Office will take this case.
I mean, basically, it's in the same town as Turning Point. Not that, I mean, isn't that Tempe, Arizona or something? I mean, it's not really, like it's a pretty big city.
Across the finish line. Again, thank you to the incredible work of the FBI, to the Attorney General, and to our local partners as well. This is a job that I think was well done.
Thank you. President Trump's directive to all of us was to not only make America safe again.
I think this pretty much saves Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. That's too big of a get to, now they're sort of, totally protected, especially with the words that were said, etc. So, I mean, that's good news for them. And I'm also, that's a great get. I mean, something that the last administration pretended they were working on is now solved.
But D.C., and to make it safe and beautiful. We could not have done that without our partnership with Mayor Bowser and Chief Smith. It is my honor to introduce Metropolitan.
But hey, guys, any chance to get some support for the channel during this day's show? I know it's kind of not normal, but it would be great. Thank you.
Police Department Chief Smith.
Good afternoon, and thank you, everyone. I am Chief Pamela Smith, Chief of Police of the Metropolitan Police Department. Thank you, Attorney General Bondi, U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro, and FBI Director Patel for having me here today. For nearly 5 years, the agencies standing here today have worked together under the leadership of the FBI to locate our suspect who is responsible for the 2 pipe bombs that were placed around our city. MPD members assigned to the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force have supported this case from the beginning. That supports include looking, reviewing, and going through countless, probably thousands of hours of CCTV footage from around the DNC and RNC headquarters, and they followed up on hundreds and thousands of leads from members of our communities. What I will say today is that Washingtonians can rest easier today knowing that the suspect responsible for this act is now in custody. This morning's arrest is yet another reminder that committing any act with the intention of harming the residents and visitors of the District of Columbia will result in your arrest. The men and women of the Metropolitan Police Department, the FBI, the ATF, the U.S. Capitol Police, and certainly the prosecutors at our U.S. Attorney's Office will go to the furthest length. I heard somebody say to the end of the earth, but thank God we didn't have to go to the end of the earth today, that we were able to bring this subject into custody. I want to commend the men and women of the FBI and the members of the Metropolitan Police Department and all of the agencies who are standing behind me today on a job well done. I will turn it over now to Attorney General Bondi.
Thanks, Chief. We're going to take some questions. Just remember, as I said in the beginning, this is ongoing. It's very active. The search warrants are still being executed. Many charges potentially to come. So just keep that in mind when asking your questions.
Jake, Fox News. So you said it had been nearly 5 years, we all know that, and that you said there have been no new evidence. So can you say anything about the evidence that actually did lead to this arrest? And then secondarily, you're talking about additional charges possibly. Can you say what those you might be considering, or terrorism charges, or what?
We can't discuss new charges, of course, yet, ongoing. But what I will say is this is why this was so incredibly important. more than any other case is this is in our nation's capital where this happened. And now, thanks to the FBI, we know that this defendant was living just miles away from here in Virginia. So as to the evidence in the case, I'm going to let Director Patel take that, but it's still very active and very ongoing.
Thank you, General. And as I stated earlier, and as the General has already reiterated, our job is to provide full accountability in the court of law with Judge Pirro's team. And in order to do that, we have to preserve the chain of custody and evidentiary value. What I will say generally is that when you go through 3 million lines of information, y'all can think about the amount of cell phone data that has to be ingested and triangulated and dumped and received. You also have to think of just sheer human ingenuity. We brought in a team of experts who were the best at what they do in their specific fields to reevaluate that evidence, to dive back in, and to not come back with a no for an answer until they had found the suspect. And when you develop evidence, you get a search warrant. And when you get a search warrant, you get an address. And when you get an address, you hit the house. And that's what we did.
Sadie, Wall Street Journal.
Hi there. So what can you tell us about this person's motivations and whether they were driven by politics or for any other reason why?
Right now, it's ongoing. Again, we just executed the search warrant early this morning. It's ongoing. But America's safer, DC's safer because he's in custody.
Mary Margaret, Daily Wire.
Thank you so much. So, any theory on why Kamala Harris is never mentioned coming within 20 feet of being assassinated, and any news on why her Secret Service team took so long to find this bomb at the DNC?
No, but what I will tell you is that evidence has been sitting there collecting dust. This wasn't a new tip. It wasn't some new evidence. It was the hard work of President Trump's administration, Deputy Director Bongino and Director Patel. I watched them from day one come in here and say, we are going to solve this crime. And they did, working hand in hand with U.S. Attorney Pirro and all of our great attorneys.
Pierre, ABC.
General Bondi, Director Patel, or Deputy Director Bongino, can you describe, was there a particular moment where the evidence is coming in and it's starting to look like progress is being made? What was the moment that you knew that you were on the road to solving the case? If anyone could take that.
Dan, you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. I was smiling at you because I certainly remember the moment. Darren remembers it too. He said, "Are you sitting down?" Called me on the phone. I said, "Oh boy, why? Is this bad news?" And he said, "I think we got him." What exactly that tip was, we're going to have to pass on that for right now while obviously we're in the prologue of a long book. This is just the beginning. This is not the end of the investigation, as you all well know, having reported on these for a long time. There's interviews to be conducted. The search warrant processing scene is not even done. So we're at the early stages, so that's the only reason I hesitate to tell you what the exact tip was. But yes, that was absolutely the moment, and it was due to the diligent and incredible work of a team in the Washington field office that came in and just scoured through this over and over and over and over again.
In general, was it forensic?
Janine wants to say something.
A phone call? Was it something about a vehicle?
We'll just leave it generally forensic evidence. Yeah, it's fair enough to say.
Excuse me? How long ago that was?
I'd rather not say because of the ongoing interview process, and I don't want to.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, of course.
I just want to add something to tell you how thorough this team was. That moment that was kind of like the aha moment, that wasn't the end. This team continued to work and work and work to get every bit of evidence that we could get. We didn't stop at that moment, and that's a testament to the fact that the team wanted every possible piece of evidence that they could gather.
One more? One more, Kelly O'Donnell, NBC.
Thank you so much. Have you recovered the notable sneakers? Have you done surveillance of this suspect from that aha moment to when you exercised the search warrants today? And obviously this happened on January 5th into January 6th. How should the public look at this case separate from all of the cases related to what transpired on January 6th and the president's subsequent pardons.
I'm going to let Director Patel take.
Thank you, Jay Tharp, 9265.
The evidence part, we have to be careful again. You've asked very good investigative questions, but this is ongoing, very active. But America should feel safer today. We say a pipe bomb. These are bombs. These were live, active bombs that were placed in Washington, D.C. Director.
Thank you. This shows you how much detail you and the American public have paid attention to this case. Of course, we analyzed everything that you're seeing on this poster board and information that you will see through the formal charging process and court process. But we want to let that evidence speak for itself because, again, we do not want to disrupt the accountability that we owe the American public. Yes, you heard about the cell phone tower data. Yes, you heard about, of course, we surveil individuals who we think we're going to blow up American citizens. But how and when we do it and why we do it is not something we're ever going to reveal unless the Department of Justice deems it fit at trial. So we appreciate your attention to detail and your hardcore investigative work, but you can just imagine some of those same skills were being utilized by this FBI, this Department of Justice, our partners, the ATF, and everybody across the board. And this is an interagency win for the American people.
Radar before.
Thank you all. And one more thing, this is the best birthday present I think Deputy Director Bongino could ask for today. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, man, they're all so happy. That's pretty good. All right. Well, anyways, that's going to do it. Hope you guys got something out of it. Maybe tonight we'll go over it again, something like that. Who knows? But thanks for being here. We'll see you guys later. Thank you to Susie Clue, Jay Tharp, Cinnamon Sin Freak, and Shelly Boo Boo, Sandy Shirley, and Tracy Martinek. All right. Then also Eileen on a Venmo. So thank you guys. Appreciate it. And we'll see you guys later. Or maybe I'll try to build something better with the map. See what I can do. So thanks everybody. See you guys later and be safe out there. Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, thug rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Greg is gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a pup protector. Fool deflector, interceptor, and I'm meaner than a spectre with a vector on his pector. With all respect, y'all, just remember I've a temple fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody? Talk to you later.